Alright, SlimmBob here, time for another review, and this time I'm talking about a game. Yes, it's been a while. I think it's been it's either 3 or 4 months. One of my problems now with YouTube, I haven't cared for it for one big reason. I think the changes that they've made it very difficult to keep track of conversations in YouTube. I don't know if it's just my YouTube, but now it don't even fucking tell me if I get a message. I have to go through, I can't even go on my account. I have to go through my video manager, then to my inbox, and then to my messages, and it's such a fucking backwards way of doing messages. I don't know whether they're trying to change YouTube to make it, 'cause that's one of the reasons I started doing YouTube videos, just to keep in touch with people and to just to make friends, like-minded people, to keep in touch with my mates from school, just to a bit of entertainment for them. But now I can't do that. I can't fucking just, I can't just talk to people, and it's annoying. I don't know, do people do it a different way nowadays? Because it seems you do get these kind of social channels still, but you can't do it through PMs anymore. There's got to be a different way. I'm going to figure it out, because I kind of miss my YouTube. It's not the same anymore. But yeah, I'm doing a video now. I'm reviewing a game. I'll talk about that another time. But yeah, I'm reviewing a game. This is a game that I didn't give a shit about. I did a video about... I don't know if I did a video about the demo. I did a video about the trailer. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. I did a video about the trailer. Because the trailer was one of those, it made me... It basically, when Kojima announced that Platinum Games were getting hold of this game, and it right wound me up. I've got to be honest, I was very upset, because Metal Gear Rising to me was always meant to be a proper Metal Gear experience, just with Raiden. That's the way it was sold. Because it's kind of like, like Alien vs Predator, how that was rumoured for a long time. Well, this game was sort of rumoured ever since we got the VR missions in Metal Gear Solid 2, ever since we could play as Grey Fox, Ninja Raiden in Metal Gear Solid 2. After that, people were saying, wait a minute, so Raiden's a ninja? When are we going to see that in a game? When are we going to see that kind of gameplay? Because those missions were so fun. They made you play it completely different. And the whole point in Rising, it was going to expand on that. So it was going to have stealth. It was more action-based if you wanted. It was quicker gameplay. But people expected Rising to be a stealth game still. And it looked so promising, like all the footage and everything. Then I think Kojima was rushed. I think he was told he had to get this game released. Because Platinum Games only had a year to make it. I mean, if Kojima really wanted it to be a great game, he would have let him have longer. But I think Konami they were putting pressure on Kojima to get this game released. So I think that's why they only had a year. I think that's why... Well, let's just fucking say it. I don't think it's a great game. I think it's alright. I think it functions. But there is no heart and soul in this game. I think with 2 years, it would have been a lot better. And it's short. It's 4 fucking hours. They were selling this game full price. And I think that's wrong. There's no way it's worth full price. They should have sold it 30 quid on launch, I reckon. I mean... I honestly, if I were you, even if you're a fan of Platinum Games, I wouldn't spend any more than 15 quid. Maybe 20 quid if you're like a massive fan of Platinum Games, but if you're not, don't spend any more than 15 quid on this game, because it's not worth it. And they tried charging DLC and all that bullshit later on. Yeah, as you can see, I'm not happy with this game. The thing is, I can't complain too much, because it is good, it is a fun game. And for Platinum Games, the system that they've got working, it does work. I mean, there's some issues with controls, I still don't understand the guard, it's like a guard impact. You press forward and square, and you do this guard. The problem with that guard is you can spam it a rate lot. I mean, you're never going to get it. That's one of the big problems with this game. It's way too easy, this game. If you compare it to other Platinum games, you have to be awake in those games. You have to be... Bayonetta especially, because that's one of those... Well, for one, that overwhelms you with combos. It's a very clever game, Bayonetta, because you have so many combos, but... it's not like learn all these different combinations of buttons. You know, there's just 2 buttons. It's just the timing that changes. You know, it's a really clever system. This doesn't seem to have any of that nuance. Like, the tutorial's a joke as well in this game. It does these VR missions to show you how to use blade mode and all that, because that's the gimmick, that if you hold L1, you can basically swipe your blade in any direction, and it'll cut the object. It'll cut it exactly where you do it, and it sort of works. I think that it could have been better though. It's a bit imprecise. The analog stick on PS3 isn't precise enough for that, because sometimes you'll aim on right, you'll swipe across, and instead of doing it like that, he'll just change it slightly. Things like that. I don't know if it's my pad. It might just be me. I don't know. But it would have been better if you aimed with the right analog stick and maybe pressed R1 to do a slash. That would have been more effective. Things like that. There's no roll. What the hell? There's no fucking roll. This is Raiden. You see him doing all this ridiculous parkour and all, fucking picking up Metal Gear Ray by the arm and lobbing him, right? But he can't roll. I mean, what the hell? It's like a basic fighting, you know, roaming beat 'em up mechanic. But it does function. It feels different to their other games. I will give them that. Categories, yeah, I should do categories. It's been a while. I need to get back in the flow. Yes, graphics and sound. They're not that good. I don't need to be negative, but they're not. The graphics they're poor, to be honest. I mean, character models are cool, I guess. Like, they got that. Some art design's fine, but like the backgrounds are so bland in this game. The enemy designs are a bit bland. I mean, I think a lot of the assets as well, like I recognise them from Metal Gear Solid 4, like the soldiers. A lot of them, like a lot of the enemies, it's the same models as in Metal Gear Solid 4. I know it's to make it authentic, but when you have these really wacky, like, boss designs, it just clashes. It don't seem to fit into the same universe, if you know what I mean. I mean, again, it's because of the rush. They didn't have the time to make a coherent art style. Plus, I think they had like they're making Bayonetta 2, and they were making the wonderful, what's it called? That other one on Wii U. You know that. If you have a Wii U, you'll know what I'm on about. But the Wonderful 101, I think it's called. Yeah. The sound design. Soundtrack's forgettable. I mean, compared to other Metal Gears, I shouldn't compare it to other Metal Gears, but I am, right. It's not memorable. I think the, like when you're doing boss battles, that music works for the style of game, but I don't like the singing. Like that, you know, that right emo style singing. I've never been a fan of that type of voice, so that grates me. Like, just coming to end of a right badass battle, and then that fucking voice starts, and you're like, oh, thanks for just putting it down on it. But I'll say that about the graphics. Like, some of those spectacles are impressive. Like, some of the ways you beat the bosses are, you know, the blade mode, the graphics on the blade mode, you know, it's good that they actually got that to work on current hardware. Because I've got to admit, when they showed off the original demo for Metal Gear Solid Rising, I was looking at that with watermelon and thinking, is a PS3 going to be able to do all that? Like that when it showed him cutting up building and stuff dropping. And is the PS3 going to be able to handle things like that? But, you know, credit to Platinum, they actually got that concept to work. So yeah, and it runs very, very smooth. This game, it's a fucking smooth game. I don't know what it's like on Xbox 360, but PS3 version it's a really smooth game. So it's really fluid. The actual combat as a result is really fluid. You're right, God. Let's get on with it. Fucking let's get on with it. I need a drink first. It's time to talk about the story. Right, this is my fucking biggest complaint with this game. The story seems like... Well, let's just recap the original concept of this game. This game was supposed to be set between Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 4. It was supposed to show how Raiden rescued Sonny from the Patriots and became Ninja Raiden, essentially, because at the end of Metal Gear Solid 2, you learn who the Patriots are. Well, you learn that it's fake information, but you learn the whereabouts of Olga's child, Sunny, and Raiden vows to find her. And Snake, he says he's going to help him, sorry, though he's a bit girly in Metal Gear Solid 2, to be fair. So, you know, that was a big cliffhanger. I mean, for 6 years we didn't even know what had happened, whether he succeeded, you know, whether he'd actually find Sonny. This game, I mean, Metal Gear Solid 4, there were still so many questions. It were like they were still that question was still lingering, even at the end of Metal Gear Solid 4. Everything else from the series was answered at the end of Metal Gear Solid 4, except how Sonny got on the Nomad, how Raiden rescued her, what drove Raiden to become who he was in the end. And this was supposed to answer that. And the problem with the story in this game, as a story on its own, it works. It's competent, it's fun, it's got that classic Platinum Games cheese. It adds in some, you know, somewhere it don't work because obviously, you know, it's been co-written by Kojima Productions, so it does have some of that, you know, social commentary which they usually have their games, and there's not enough development, it's too short. You have not got enough time to develop all these ideas, you know, and like the biggest thing with Metal Gear is like the bosses always get so much attention before you actually meet them. I mean, just like Metal Gear Solid 3 is a prime example because you know every boss you meet is part of the Cobra unit, part of your mentor's unit. So immediately from that you know, one, that they're badass. You learn the names. All the way through the game you're trying to figure out what their names mean. And you're learning all this lore about them and all these stories because they've been in war. You're learning about all these different stories and it's such a suspense built up. In this game you get none of that. You'll meet an enemy 1 minute, next minute you kill them. And you're thinking, they have a cutscene and then they're dead, pretty much. And while in that cutscene you're thinking, you could actually be a pretty interesting character. There's only 2 characters that don't die the first time you meet them, and that's what's it called? Jetstream Sam. What a fucking name. I think his voice... No, he ain't voiced by Phil Lamar, is it? It's the other guy. But yeah, the Jetstream Sam, which is cool. I wish he were bloody protagonist. It'd have been a better game if he were protagonist. And the other guy... I don't know the other guy's name. But you meet him. He's trying to be Solidus, the other guy. My biggest problem with this game, with the story, is that they obviously used an old script. They were given an old script and they were told, you need to make that set after Metal Gear Solid 4 and make it work. Because I think one of the reasons that old story, the old story set after Metal Gear Solid 2, the reason that wouldn't have worked with this new game is because the action is way too fast paced, it's way too over the top. You know, Raiden wouldn't be able to lift up a Metal Gear radio mob. He wouldn't be able to pick up a giant arm and, you know, slice open a giant Metal Gear. It'd be impossible, you know. He's just a man at that point. So, yeah, they had to make this game work. So there are aspects of the story like... Alright, I think there was a certain character in this game, this little kid. I forgot his name. I think he was supposed to be Sonny. I think the bit where you go... Yeah, this is going to be spoilers in this video, by the way. The bit, you know, when you go to the child... Where they got all the child brains. And you meet that kid, and there's that bit with scientists where he's got a gun to a kid's head. There's a gas chamber, and all kids are there. I'll give it that, though. That particular scene was very well done. I'll say that. I honestly think that kid was supposed to be Sonny. I think that moment was supposed to be a bonding moment for Raiden and Sonny. That is the moment. Because why is that kid so important? You know, there's all those other kids back there. You know, she had significance. Sonny had significance to the Patriots. It would make more sense if that was a Patriot facility. You know, they're trying to make cyborgs, aren't they? They want soldiers they can control, so they're trying to make these cyborgs. They have these kids' brains, right? And they know that Sonny would be more important to Raiden than those other kids. Or at least he thinks. So he makes that decision. There are more lives at stake here. He makes the right decision. And Sunny agrees with him. You know, she's a smart lass, she would agree with him. And then, you know, the scene would carry on as normal. And the fact that that kid talks to Raiden throughout the game after that, you know, it was so obviously Sunny. And then you meet Sunny later on, right? In the actual game, this is in the game. You meet her later on. It turns out she's been designing planes. You mean like the Nomad? You mean the one Otacon designed? So, was Sunny supposed to be Otacon? Because at the end of the game, this kid gets... He works at that facility. He works with Sunny. He's essentially adopted. But, well, not adopted, but you know what I mean? They work together. He's adopted by Otacon. So it's as if, you know, that kid... Say that kid was Sunny, right? And Otacon was Sunny. I know this is confusing. It would be perfect. It's the perfect setup. And like, you know, he's designing planes. He makes the Nomad. They go on the Nomad when they find out, you know, that Snake's aging, and they take it... You know, he designs his own plane because he finds out Snake's aging so that they can get across the world and stuff. Oh, I'm telling you, this game was... This is my problem, because I'm seeing the story that could have been. I'm seeing what the story was, what we were going to be told. It's such a wasted potential. They could basically do a remake of this, but I think it's ruined now. It don't feel like it's part of Metal Gear universe. It's as if it's trying, but it's like a fan fiction. It don't feel legit, this game. That story was going to be good. I was really looking forward to it. Snake's not mentioned in this game either. I think there might be a codec conversation. My YouTube recommended pages, there was something about codec conversation involving Snake. I don't think it'd be in the game, because David Hayter is not on good terms with Konami at the moment. But the story is a big problem in this game for me. And for people who've never played Metal Gear, I think this would actually be a good way to introduce yourself. If you're not played any others, this is a good way to introduce yourself to the story. I know that sounds daft, but it's kind of like, I think it'd be like the Last Airbender trick. Like me, I saw the Last Airbender film before I watched the show, and I finished watching the film and I'm like, this is wank, this film, but I swear this has got to be a good story. It got to end and I actually wanted to see what happened next, and I'm like, I actually want to know. Maybe if I watch the show, I'll find out what happens next. And I've watched them, and now it's one of my favourite shows. I think Metal Gear Rising would be like that for people, because you look at the story and you think, there's things in here that don't quite match. There's something intriguing about it, but I'm not sure what. You know, there's obviously more to it. There's more context to it, which this game, because they only had a year, they're not showing you. I hope people get a bit of awareness about Metal Gear from this. I don't think so, because it's been out, how long? Like, nearly a year, and nobody seems to give a shit, but... Anyway, moving on. Gameplay. What's the gameplay like? It's Bayonetta style, Devil May Cry style. They try and add a bit of stealth, but I honestly don't think the AI's finished. And I know this is a nitpick, but... They say at the beginning that you're using a Soliton radar. If that's the case, why the fuck can't I see me enemy's field of vision? I know that's a nitpick, but you know, it's a big thing. You're doing your stealth, you got your fucking cardboard boxes, you can do stealth kills, which the animation is way too long, like the extending game. But you got these tiny stealth sections, which you don't have to. You're actually more effective just fighting. No point even doing stealth in this game. The AI's not finished. There's times where enemies are like, they should obviously see you. There's one there, there's a pillar there, you walk to the side. They should obviously just turn and see you, but you just run past them and they don't notice. Unless you sprint. They only hear you if you sprint as well. That took me a while to get used to, because I would literally just edging the analog stick, you know, just like walking past people. Unbelievable, that as well. L3 and R3 don't do anything. At all. I mean, like, lock on. R3 could be lock on, and L2, which is lock on, could be a roll. I mean, L3 could be crouch. you know, click to crouch, and then you could actually have proper stealth. You know, the combat could change if you're in a stealth mode. That's controls don't feel finished. It's like they're just a prototype, because they just don't have that. Platinum games are always so smooth. Their games feel so beautiful to play. That everything works in Platinum games and stuff. But this game feels awkward, and the tutorials just flash by, and that's that. And just little silly things like, because you can unlock combos, you know, like Devil May Cry and all them. When you unlock a combo in this game, it don't fucking tell you how to do it. You have to guess how to do it. And I was there unlocking these combos, and I'm like, oh right, this is one of those new moves. And it just, I had no idea how I'd done it. It just started doing it. The other weapons, I ain't actually tried other weapons. Oh well, I don't know. I think that's one of those things. Raiden would only use his sword, wouldn't he? He wouldn't use other weapons. But I don't know how they're balanced, sorry about that. But I'll say that, it's kind of balanced with sword. You know, your power-ups do make a difference. Is it paced right? I don't think so, actually. It don't make much difference. If you get level 1 of your abilities, I think you're pretty much sorted. I mean, and one thing, if you do play this for the first time, do not get all the health, strength, power-ups and all those, because this game is way too easy on normal. Play it on hard, by the way, yeah. Play it on hard if you're playing it for the first time. It's way too easy on normal. And this, I struggle. Bayonetta, it took me... I rage quitted Bayonetta because I found it so hard. Vanquish, that was one of those games, you would die often, but you would get through it. This game, it's fucking right easy. There's like a couple of right cheap enemies, especially the last boss. The last boss is just an absolute slug to go through, and he has some really cheap attacks which are unblockable. And if you're mid animation and he initiates one of these attacks, because there's a small window for you to get out of the way, but if you're mid animation and he does one of these attacks, you're fucked completely. There you go, quarter of your health gone. Very, very cheap that, and it does kind of extend the game. I think that's why it took me 4 hours, because that enemy took me like fucking half an hour to do. It's one of those things, gameplay you can't really talk about much. It nicks from other games. I mean, it's just a standard hack and slash. It has quick time events. It's all combat. It's brainless, mindless fun, I guess. I mean, it is fun. You know, I can't deny it. It is a fun game. They are good developers. Even in a year, it's good that they managed to make this game, you know. I'd like them to make a sequel as well, because if they had more time, they could do a lot. I'm hoping they don't stay loyal to Nintendo, because, you know, we got a new fucking generation. I mean, we're budget, they could do a lot with next gen. And we need proper Japanese developers. Fucking come on, Japan, you gotta fight back. You're better than this. The Western gaming market is becoming very standardised. We need your insane, batshit insane creativity to come back, because it's getting ridiculous. And I'm not talking about on the DS, like the 3DS. No, I'm not talking about handhelds. I'm talking about proper next gen, proper consoles. Because I'm sick of blooming having to do this to play proper games. Anyway, that's another argument. What's longevity like in this game? Wank. Fucking wank. If you complete this game, there is no reason to play it again, unless you're a massive fan. Unless this is the best thing you've ever played in your life, you will have no reason to play it again. So yeah, longevity is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. But again, you know, they only had a year. They didn't have time to put in extras. They didn't have time. I mean, even achievements, that's the only thing. The only longevity you'll get from it, because the achievements are difficult. They make it. I mean, you don't even get an achievement for beating the game. You get it for clearing certain chapters, but you only get an achievement for beating the game if you do it on the hardest difficulty, of which cannot be unlocked unless you beat it on hard. So like, it's one of those games where it's artificially extending its life, if you know what I mean. It's, you know, with stupid difficulty spikes, just daft sections, like really poorly designed sections, like really just like a few seconds of gameplay, like You're just randomly killing enemies. You walk up to a bridge. You have to cross the bridge, but there's helicopters destroying it with rockets. So you have to hold your sprint button while running across the bridge. Well, if you're not running in a dead straight line and you don't hold the sprint button from like the first microsecond, you'll die. You'll fall off. It's like there's no. You're not given a chance at all. It's just really cheap, you know. But it's unfortunate. They only had a year. I've said that about 8 times now. It's bad value for money, this game. That's why I'd only recommend it at a very budget price. Yeah. What score will I get? I know I've been moaning about it non-stop, but it works. Yeah, you know, let's be honest, it's 5 out of 10. And when I say 5, a lot of people say that's a bad score. It isn't. 5 means average. It means that you'll enjoy it. It means it's alright, you know. So yeah, it's a 5 out of 10. It does its job. It's alright. It's nothing exceptional. Nothing stands out. It's just a painfully average game, and it's very unfortunate, you know. Metal Gear Solid Rising had a hell of a lot of potential. Platinum Games, they took some concepts, like one of the cool concepts they took. This is one of the reasons it's easy, by the way. If you use your blade mode on an enemy that's dying, right, or just normal enemies actually, there's a red box that appears in the middle of the chest, right? If you slash that and then press circle, you grab this thing from inside them. It's like the spine or something. You crush it. Your health and stamina is recharged instantly. And you can do that with most enemies in the game. And it makes it so easy. It's unbelievably easy. And there's bits like bosses. You'll have a bit in blade mode. They'll lob something at you. You have to slash it in blade mode. If you do it right, you'll get health just scattered around the map. So you'll just get recharged health. I mean, I remember Bayonetta, Devil May Cry, it was a struggle. You had to grind. Devil May Cry 1, there's one certain point you had to grind for green orbs to get your health and to be able to afford health, basically. You know, you had to pay attention, you had to be on your fucking game. This game, you know, it just works as a game. Because it's so easy, it's just kind of bland, to be honest. No stands out. Boss battles are really easy. Story had potential, part of it works. The whole transformation of Raiden is interesting. That's something I don't think they'd have done that in. If it had been, no, they must have though, because his voice changes. Just his whole outlook changes. At the start of the game, he's kind of like how he is in the end of Metal Gear Solid 4. You know, he sees his hope. He's got his family. He's kind of happy. You know, he's doing a good job. Whereas by the end of the game, he kind of turns into Raiden at the beginning of Metal Gear Solid 4. So yeah, even that is fucking. If you're a fan of Metal Gear, get it fucking cheap, this game, because I've got an idea. This is one of those that will divide fans. I don't think. You know, I might be on my own. I don't know, but to me, you know, it's always been about story. Metal Gear. You know, that whole concept when they brought it in was about showing Raiden's journey from 2 to 4. You know, it wasn't about mindlessly hacking away at, you know, robots. It was something more than that. But this is a game we got, and it kind of works. And if you're a fan of it, then let me know. And you know, good on you if you enjoyed it. But unfortunately, not for me. 5 out of 10. So yeah, this is SlimmBob. Thanks for watching. And goodbye.